Today's episode is brought to you by RLA Polymers and Gripset. For peace of mind when waterproofing, trust Gripset's 38FC, the king of membranes. 38FC has been the industry benchmark for years and is rigorously tested internally and through certified NADA laboratories, giving you verified peace of mind. Developed alongside contractors, 38FC has confirmed coverage of 10 square metres per pale and adheres to AS 4858 and AS 4654 compliance. With a quick 1 hour recode time, you can get the job done in record speed without compromising on quality. Don't fall for the copycat products. Trust Gripset's 38FC, the king of membranes. Hey everybody, Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome back to the program. More importantly, welcome back to the show. We're lucky again to have lucky and fortunate to have an amazing guest join us today, all the way from Southern California. We have Bryant Figueroa from IQ Power Tools on the program. Bryant, welcome to the show.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, buddy. It's been a long time, and I'm looking forward to deep diving into IQ Power Tools today. Obviously, there's a lot of love for the business and the product and the people. So, mate, I think look, there's probably no better place to start than at the beginning. And look, I'd like to know from your perspective. You've been in the business now for a few years. How did sort of IQ Power Tools come to life, and sort of what problem was IQ Power Tools setting out to solve in the industry?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So good question. And essentially, kind of everything comes out of necessity, right? So the problem, the company itself was started by two brothers that were in the masonry industry for over 30 plus years. Their entire family, they're from three generations of masonries. They saw the problem with silica dust, right? They saw dust going everywhere at all these job sites. And it's like, okay, what do you do? That stuff's not good for you. You're breathing that stuff in. Coal miners, they have the black lung. And it's the exact same kind of epidemic, but it wasn't as known back then when they kind of had this idea. So they finally kind of started playing around with some ideas and figuring out, okay, what if we added, a vacuum system essentially to a masonry saw? What element or what output can we get from that? And so their core kind of function was let's solve this problem of the silica dust. We don't know exactly all the cons and the negatives behind it, but how can we know it's bad for us, right? So the studies were not 100% fully dialed in back 15, 20 years ago when they kind of first had the concept, but obviously we know so much more about it today, as there's been a lot of stories, even just recently, that have come out about the dangers of silica, the dangers in your lungs, because that stuff basically does not make it past your system. When that stuff goes into your airstream and it goes into your lungs, that stuff basically just stays there. And you don't want any kind of foreign entities, objects sitting in your lungs, because literally it just turns into cancers. And that just ends up basically shortening your lifespan by tenfold. So that's the core function of why IQ Power Tools was started, was to solve that problem and solve that dilemma.
Yeah, look, and silica dust and silicosis has become such a topic in modern construction today.
Yeah.
Such a dangerous disease that clearly is fatal and takes people's lives. And we don't know what we don't know, and
right.
It's a shame that I think silica was first, or silica dust and silica was first identified back in the 80s. And there was a lot of reports done globally around the world by a number of different organizations. I can't name any of them, but I know that there's papers out there that have been written, and not a lot was done back then because it didn't seem like it was a dangerous thing. But it's so good, now fast forward to where we are, modern times, that there are businesses out there really looking at, well, how can we actually get rid of that and protect workers and make jobs safer, and give them the tools and equipment that can do a high quality job.
No, absolutely. And that's exactly it. It's the people have known about it for a long time, but the awareness and the effects of that dust, it was kind of unknown. So that's where obviously there's so much more awareness now over silicosis, the impacts of it, how can it be prevented? And then with in the States here, we have OSHA, which obviously helps to do the best they can to kind of keep us safe. But it's like people just don't listen, right? People kind of are still going to do what they want to do. Like how many people still smoke cigarettes, right? We know all the the setbacks, and we know all of the things, the negatives that come with smoking cigarettes, but everyone still does it. So the beauty
Mm,
of the IQ product is that it completely takes the silica, or takes the dust, I should say, out of the equation, because it's capturing 99% of that dust as you're making the cut. So that's just kind of going airborne, but that little small sliver of dust is totally acceptable. You're outdoors, you're cutting, it's just going to kind of go with the wind, and it's hardly enough to make an impact because it's not going to actually be respirated. It's going to just go off kind of in the back of the saw, and it goes to the job site, and it's essentially just kind of dust in the wind. The and that's the beauty of it, is that you don't have to think about it. So as long as you're using that product, the silicosis isn't even in your mind anymore. It's just, oh, great, I'm cutting bricks, I'm doing my job, I'm making this backyard beautiful, and I don't even have to think about the impact of my health now at this point.
mm. Yeah, fantastic, mate. Such a powerful brand, and doing great things. And obviously, was a big part of my life for the 5 years here in Australia when I worked for Top Notch Tools, and
Yeah,
we had some fantastic times, and we were able to go out there and create that awareness not only in Australia but also in New Zealand as well with the lads over at the Tile Depot. And
yeah.
I think they're still doing some amazing things. So it's not only great to work with an incredible tool, but you're helping improve people's lives within the industry with a product that protects them. So
No,
it's
absolutely.
game changer.
Yep. No, and the
Mate,
brand's
talking
doing
about
great.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
brand's
yeah,
doing great out there in Australia. I mean, it's picking up a lot of steam. We've got people using it. Obviously, social media has been a huge factor for us out there, and it's played a great role in creating the
yeah,
awareness for the
absolutely.
brand.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. Well, talk about game-changing innovation. Obviously, we talked about dustless technology. Can you sort of break down the system a little bit and how it works, and what are sort of some of the key components that assist outside of the vacuum? What are the other key components that assist, making it
Yeah.
a game changer for tradespeople?
No, absolutely. So obviously the initial one was the vacuum system, right? That was kind of the initial core and objective of how do we improve upon people's health. So then second, after that, it's okay, well, so we've got this great tool now and it's got a vacuum. So now we've taken care of the dust. But what else can we do to help kind of at the job site with the workflow? How can we save time, cost, energy for, kind of everyone involved? The not just the operator, but the business owner as well. So the second key component with all IQ products is portability. As you know, if you've worked in any of the trades, outside of kind of tile, mostly masonry hardscape, water is a huge factor with cutting. So it creates slurry, creates a mess. It wets your product. You have to wait for it to dry. Now you've got toxic sludge that you have to get rid of effectively at your job site, and it makes a huge mess when you cut with water, especially all the slurry and everything that kind of goes all over the place. So either you're completely tenting the environment that you're cutting in, assuming that you can cut, the homeowner, if it's an existing home, the homeowner is not going to want a huge mess, right? So we're going to have to prep our area or prep our space. Then we're going to have to be cutting about 30, 50 feet away because of all the mess as well. And we've got a big trowel with water that's kind of collecting all that, creating all that toxic slurry, and it's sitting there collecting in a bath. Now that stuff's going to weigh, 200 pounds, right? So now this saw is not going anywhere. This saw is physically placed throughout the entire job site. It doesn't move. Now, me as the operator, I'm having to go cut bricks 50 feet away every single time I need it for my corners, for my making a little pathway, etc. So think of how much time it's going to take you to walk back and forth to make those little cuts. Oh, I got the cut wrong. I got the angle just off a little bit. I got to go back and cut it again. So again, there's so much time that gets eaten up by the simple transport of product back and forth. So imagine if you can take that great tool now and literally put it right next to your installation location. So right next to where I'm cutting, I've got my product, I've got my tool, I've got my saw, I've got my project, and all I have to do is literally just take my product, cut it, and place it down right next to me. I can even take the saw down at the knee level. So if I'm on my knees, got my pads on, I can sit there and quickly cut. So I don't even have to get up anymore. So that's the beauty of IQ. And those are the core kind of competencies. It's Not only is it great for your health, but it's also time savings. So now we've taken kind of the portability aspect. So that's again number two, kind of most game-changing innovation. And that's what I hear from a lot of people out there in the space is this is saving me so much time. I
Mm,
love the fact that my guys don't have to spend all day walking back and forth, and I can cut right at the job site. So that's just masonry hardscape. Now, if I'm on the tile side of things, I'm doing a condo, and it's three-story condo. So now I'm on the third floor. Same scenario here, right? Either I'm going to have to completely tent off this space where I'm indoors. Homeowner's not going to be happy if I'm cutting inside and making a huge mess. Now I've got to deal with water. Let's say you're in a cold climate. Let's say you're somewhere in, Canada, Minnesota, somewhere where it just gets freezing cold. I'm going to have to either set up the saw in the garage because I'm trying to get away from the cold. I'm dealing with water in absolutely freezing temperatures. So I'm having to put a heater in just to try to get the water where it's kind of malleable and I can use it and I can work with it. Nobody's going to want to do that, right? That's a mess. You don't want to have to deal with any of that. So that's the beauty of the tile side of things is that now I can take my tile saw, not have to worry about water, not have to worry about the elements. I can cut right inside that bathroom, inside that kitchen if I'm doing a backsplash, and it makes my life so much easier because just right on the spot, I have no tiles to dry and wait. I can cut right where I'm installing, and I can just go. As fast as I need to go, as it can keep up with me now at that point. So it's a long day. I want to go home. I want to see my family. Great. Nothing to clean up. We've already got everything placed and set. Now let's take off and go. The job's done. It's the cleanup is essential because there's essentially nothing to clean up. You dump out your dust. You've take care of all your other kind of materials and what have you, and you're off and you're back home with the kids and the family and able to enjoy a nice evening. So the time savings factor, that's kind of the third big point with IQ. And then the fourth, I would say, is we've incorporated a lot of little small elements into every single product from not just a kind of company standpoint, but from a end user standpoint. Because every single product we've come out with, there's a lot of innovation, and not just in the overall product itself and the portability and the vacuum system, the fact that there's no water needed on any of the devices, but also like smart little simple things like being able to cut angles quickly without having to think too much about it.
mm.
Incorporating measurement systems into all of the tables, how the rolling tables are assembled, how they're made, how they can collapse down so that they can pack easily into either a pickup truck, into a trailer, and you're going on your day. So there's because these tools were designed by actual professionals, by tile people, by masonry people, etc., that we've put all of that thought and consideration into designing the tools.
Wow. The when you started talking, one of the very first things that popped into my head was you've developed a range of transformers.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
the movie, right? So
yeah, oh
you've
yeah,
got these great machines that you can pack down easily. They cut fantastically. They capture the dust. It improves job site time ranges so that,
hmm
when you're actually on a job site, you're not sitting there for like 45 minutes to an hour having to
yeah,
set up a wet saw, find a location, find a water source, all of the things that go with setting up those types of machines, and they've got a place in the market. There's no doubt about it. But certainly, if you're looking at, I had this conversation 2 or 3 days ago with a contractor here in Australia, and we were
hmm
talking about time and money. On a job site, specifically with the company that I'm with at the moment. And everybody has the same thought that, obviously time is money. So if
yeah,
there are efficiencies to be found in a job, whether it's a machine or whether it's some other product,
hmm
people will gravitate towards that because that's going to put more coin in their pocket
yeah,
and or make their business more profitable.
100%. Yeah, well
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
Yeah, and
nice
again,
man.
it's so you've got benefits for the operator, you've got benefits for the business owner and the homeowner as well, right? So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. And
Yeah.
you'll get the old school guys that'll argue, oh, nothing's like cutting with water. You have to cut with water. And yeah, and that was true for a long time. And that is what, my father did and my father's father did, etc. So it's like any new innovation, any new technology, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. People do have to kind of get acclimated to, hey, there's another way of doing things. And the diamond blade technology, that's really what's opened the door and allowed us to kind of do it without the use of water.
Mm. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Very cool. Uh, in your range of products, and I'm not going to put you on the spot right now, but I definitely will throughout the interview. In your range of products, what's sort of the flagship product at the moment for the business?
Yeah, oh, no doubt about it. It's the 362i. So the 362i is our bread and butter. That's what keeps the lights on. That is our masonry saw. That is a 16.5-inch blade. That thing is a beast. 20 amps of power. That'll cut just about anything you throw at it. I've seen giant solid pieces of headstone material, and that's got to be the most dense material I've ever kind of carried in my hands. And that stuff's, it's 50 pounds for just a little block, and super,
Yeah,
super
wow.
dense material. But that thing will rip right through it like nothing. The 362i over the last 2 years that I've been with the company has quickly become obviously not only the mainstay in the kind of hardscape masonry industry, but now it's literally becoming like the de facto saw. Like, oh, you're not running an
Mm,
IQ, why aren't you running an IQ? Yeah, just bring the IQ saw, etc. So now that's becoming a verb, which is fun to hear that. And the thing that just kind of shocked me a bit with that saw in particular, and really all IQ products, is I follow a lot of social media channels, obviously, because that's kind of my job, but I've never seen anyone excited to showcase a saw. Like, hey guys, look at me cutting stone, look at me cutting brick, look at me cutting tile. Like, who gets excited about showing, a saw cutting these materials? Like, it's really unheard of. But these guys love it. They enjoy doing it. They will showcase it on their social media platforms, I'm proud to work for this company that we have tools that do exactly what they say. They're
mm,
great tools that are powerful, and people are excited to showcase them because of the innovation.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And sort of that leads into the next question that I had for you was obviously you're working with a number of influencers and brand ambassadors and or industry voices across the globe. And,
Yeah.
and I've had the pleasure of, and still in touch with a lot of the guys here in Australia that big advocates for the IQ Power Tools machines.
Mhm.
How do you find I suppose, how do you identify and find the right people to be an ambassador for a brand?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Because yeah, not everybody can kind of cut the mustard, so to speak. I look at a few different factors. It's not just the numbers game. It's not just about hey, who's got the most followers, etc. It's really for me quality of content. We've worked with the bigger guys, obviously, because that's just easy. Just oh yeah, look, he's got 1 million followers. Obviously, we want to work with the guy. But you also have to look at the content. You have to look at their kind of questions and answers within the comments themselves. Are they producing content just to be silly for likes, or are they actually giving you useful information? One of the guys that comes to mind is working with Matt. He's a guy in the hardscape industry. He does an absolutely fantastic job showcasing the tools because he doesn't use the tools to just say, "Hey, look at me, look what I'm doing," and here's this saw that I'm happen to be using. He actually incorporates it into his workflow, and he'll give you a really helpful tip while he's showing you. And that's what I communicate to all the guys that we work with. I don't want to pay you or I don't want to give you product to use the product to use the saw. I want you to use the saw because it's genuinely helping in your workflow. That's the primary. Because I don't want any of the content to come off as contrived or like, I don't want anyone acting that they like using the product. If it doesn't work for you, great. No harm, no foul. We'll get the product back, right? So all the guys that we've worked with, I want you to use the product in your everyday workflow. I want you to show your followers how it's helped, in your workflow. Did it speed up your process? Did it speed up your time? Did it help you get home to see your family sooner? Have you noticed that there's no, dust in the air, et cetera? So all of those factors and all the reasons that we have all the benefits are the core principles of why we work with someone. We don't want to pay people just to use products because now they're just going to fake it, right? And we've had really good success with that. So I want to say just about 99% of all the relationships we've established with all the influencers and kind of social media personalities have been absolutely fantastic. We've done a great
Mm,
job of meeting some awesome people that have become fast friends. And we actually had last year, we went out to Houston. We rewarded our top 10 influencers that we had worked with up to this point, and we said, hey, you know what? We rented an Airbnb right out on the ocean water, like overlooking the Houston beaches. It was absolutely beautiful house. We had a great barbecue. We were there for 2 nights. We took these guys out to do a bunch of fun activities, top golf and what have you. And it was just a thank you because it's such a good group of people. And the
Mm,
beauty of that, of those little trips and kind of retreats, we literally, the objective wasn't to like, hey, let's go do a bunch of content. It was literally just a thank you for being who you are and working with our tools. And those friendships, I mean, they've become so cemented, pun
mm.
intended, as a result of activities like that, right? And every single
Yeah.
one of these guys, some of them knew each other a little bit, and they, kind of chit chatted. But then when you start getting to meet everyone, everyone literally just clicked and gelled, and we had such a good group that was there, and they've all, become fast friends, and they all hang out, and they always keep asking, "Hey, when are we gonna do the next event? When are we gonna hang out again?" So we'll see each other at trade shows and stuff. So it's always good to connect with people in person. But yeah, we definitely need to plan that again because that was really successful for us.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Pretty awesome event, mate. Great to get a whole bunch of people together,
Yeah.
within the industry, and yeah, excellent. I've obviously been over to the States a number of times, and I've traveled
Yep.
over there to see you guys, and whether it's World of Concrete or Surfaces, going to those shows and those fairs are they're phenomenal events to attend, and to see the latest tools and things that are happening within the industry
Yep.
on a global stage. I would say that they're probably some of the biggest events around that you'll visit. With the IQ Power Tools, I mean, we talk about marketing, that piece, and obviously the role that you hold within the business is pivotally important in growing the brand, and then you've obviously got your ambassadors as well. How does the education piece fit into and support tradespeople around things like shows and stuff? Like how do you bring that cake mix together to bake that amazing recipe and make it all work?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. The education component, I mean, it's kind of twofold. Our products do require a bit of education because we're teaching people how to not cut with water, right? So there's some learning curve there. So we definitely have to kind of teach people how to do it, that there is a different way, and just creating that general awareness. The other side of the awareness for us as well, that we found very helpful is the silicosis kind of awareness, right? Just letting people know that all this stuff does exist. And granted, when you're cutting with water, there's less visible dust, but all of that stuff still gets airborne. The second it dries, it's still airborne. It's still out there, right? You're still inhaling a lot of that product, even if it is wet, because it's going all over the place. So the other thing as well is your material is just going to be completely filthy. Either your material gets stained, your material is wet, you have to wait for it to dry, regardless of tile or kind of hardscape. So the education piece for us is kind of twofold. It's learning how to cut without water, teaching people that there is another way, and then also just their general health and kind of safety with cutting dry.
Hmm. Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And look, touching on health and safety, because obviously it's a big component of, I suppose any tool that you use, but
Yeah.
certainly from my time selling IQ Power Tools in the Oceania region of the world, it was probably one of the first conversations that we ever had.
Hmm.
Really, we talked about the brand and we talked about the tool. However, the first topic of conversation always sort of fell on, dust control, dust mitigation, capturing dust,
Hmm.
keeping your airborne area clean so that you're not actually inhaling any product,
Yeah.
and doing it quickly, faster, and better than most other equipment out there.
Hmm.
And um, the machines themselves, obviously, I remember from when I was working at Top Notch Tools, there was a lot of, I suppose, collaboration, you would call it, with
Hmm.
like the lung associations of the world, and
Yeah.
a lot of the organizations that promote smarter health. What involvement does IQ sort of have in that space as well?
Yeah, so a good question. When I first joined the company, we had a good partnership with the Lung Cancer Association of America. The Essentially working with that team helped us to essentially utilize their iconography, their IP, and kind of their brand to help associate that with our products, which was very helpful in that sense. Personally, I don't feel, and this isn't a knock on them, but I just don't feel like we were getting a lot of exposure working directly with them. They weren't there wasn't a lot of outreach directly.
Mm,
So I felt that we could do a lot more with the funds for the partnership. On the education piece and on the awareness side on our own independently. So we kind of parted ways a few years back, kind of as a result of that, so that we could take those kind of collaboration dollars and that fund and incorporate into actually pushing out education content, making sure that we're at specific events, making sure that we have training kits available to all of our people. And that went along much further for us, in my
mm.
opinion. In addition
Yeah,
to that,
awesome.
we've also done a variety of OSHA testing for the making sure that we not only meet, but we exceed far and above the traditional ratings for what the amount of permissible dust is allowed to be inhaled per day by an average adult.
Mm. A quick word from our sponsor. Partner with Gripset and become one of Australia's leading waterproofers. Waterproofing is one of the most in-demand trades. With Gripset's accredited practitioner program, GAP, you'll be trained and certified in just 3 days. Backed by Australia's leading waterproofing supplies manufacturer and run by trainers with over 20 years of experience within the industry, GAP gives you a wealth of knowledge. Learn how to identify and prevent dampness and water damage in both residential and commercial structures by exploring the current Australian waterproofing standards, correct preparation of substrates for waterproofing, and how to apply both sheet and liquid membranes with a particular focus on the trickier areas such as joints and penetrations. Upon completion, you will be a fully accredited GAP applicator and will be able to access exclusive benefits and free business advertising to expand your clientele. Spots are filling up fast. Upskill today. Visit gripset.com/gap. That's gripset.com/gap, where great applicators get even better. Has that permissible amount of dust, has that changed over the last few years in terms of, have the regulations evolved and has it gotten tighter in terms of what they're allowing?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% it has. In the States, the regulation is 0.05 microns in terms of what's permissible per an 8-hour day. In Europe, it's very similar number, as well as in parts of Australia. Australia and Europe are almost neck and neck. So depending on different parts of the world, it's almost the exact same in terms of the permissible. What's changed though most recently is in terms of that 0.05 number is if you're within 0.025, so essentially half of that, if your products range within that 0.025 area, they consider it here in the States an actionable level, meaning that you have to take additional action to protect your operator if you fall within that range. So that's the newest thing that's kind of come over the last couple of years is that the actionable level. So there's the very key distinction between permissible, so that you're not in violation, and then there's actionable. And so actionable meaning that I'm going to have to apply additional PPE to the operator to ensure that that person is staying safe. So if there is any potential risk that they're basically inhaling anything between 0.25 and zero point 0.5 or 0.025 and 0.05, that they are either wearing a breathing apparatus, wearing some type of mask protectant, so that they're not inhaling or being exposed to additional dust. So there's things like, obviously not cutting consistently for 8 hours, taking breaks in between, making sure you're in a well ventilated space. If it's a hot sunny day outside and you've got an easy up, make sure you bring a fan so that any dust that does kind of get created is moving away from the operator's lungs. So those are
Mm,
all just safety tips, and they're all just good tips in general to be aware of if you're an operator. Because again, a lot of these guys just go out there, get the job done, and they don't even think about themselves. But it's important if you want to prolong your life.
mm. Yeah, absolutely, mate. It couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah,
Obviously, engaging in and having the best operating practices when you're using machinery and looking after your workers and making sure that they're wearing the right PPE.
yeah,
It's so important,
absolutely.
for the health and safety and well-being of yourself and your workers. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, look, I'm not sure if you'll know the answer to this question, but have you looked at the statistics lately in the last couple of years on fatalities from silicosis and stuff in the States or anywhere else? Is there any information out there that you found shocking, that maybe there's still a long way to go to get the messaging out there about these types of tools?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm not going to say I'm aware of the latest facts in terms of the specific statistics, but the recent article that came out, it was a big publication here, one of the largest news stations here in the States, essentially put out a whole kind of expose on silica dust and what was happening to guys that were literally in their mid 20s. They had only been working in the trades for 3 to 5 years, and these guys full on had full blown lung cancer. And these are guys that don't smoke. These are guys that live relatively healthy lives outside of kind of the work that they're in. But I mean, imagine being 27, being told that you have lung cancer and you don't even smoke. That's crazy, right? I mean, so those kind of stories have come out recently, and they've been far more prevalent. In California, it tends to be the most strictest of the states out here of all the 50 that tend to be on the safer side, right, with everything. So we've got the strictest smog laws, we've got the strictest gasoline, therefore it's the most expensive. And same goes with kind of our OSHA. So our Occupational Safety and Health Administration here in California is much more stringent on a lot of these rules. So it's good that we're based out here in Southern California, because we can make sure that we're kind of top of the class in terms of the overall 50 states.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, mate, such a heartfelt topic to chat about. I mean, look, I know there's no better feeling than working for a business and working for a brand that's out there promoting this sort of well-being amongst workers, and that was one of the things that I particularly loved about promoting IQ Power Tools in Australia when I was working in the business. So, yeah, mate, let's talk about the R&D behind the tools, because that
Sure.
was an enormous part of the business, and I have no doubt that it still very much is.
Yeah.
Talk us through and tell us about what the R&D looks like behind the scenes at IQ Power Tools, and how do you approach research, design, continuous improvement? What makes it tick? What is the heartbeat of innovation?
Yeah, absolutely. So the good news is with IQ in terms of kind of R&D, our original founders, original kind of inventors of the products, were obviously they had the hands-on experience. So that's kind of where the innovation started from. So what's carried that innovation, what keeps us going, what keeps us essentially innovative, is and a lot of the new tools we've come out with, it's all listening to the customer, right? It all falls back to listening to the customer, finding out what are the needs of the market. And also looking at trends, right? So a lot of the big trends right now that we're seeing are essentially large format tile. So large format tile has now become the number one seller here in the States for outdoor, hardscape, landscape, for tile projects indoors. It's so much easier to finish a job if I have a 24 by 48 piece of tile as opposed to 30 little 12 by 12 or 10 by 10 pieces, right? So it's just easy because it's the installation time gets cut down considerably, and it's also a much cleaner look having larger slabs. But what happens with that larger product? So it's much heavier, obviously. B, you're going to need a easier way to kind of handle that material and to cut it. So whether it's on the hardscape side or tile, with hardscape, for example, we just came out recently with the new 1550, and this is a mega giant saw that has a 21.5 inch blade, and this thing is an absolute unit. It'll literally cut through anything you throw at it. So, and that's designed for the larger format, heavy duty stone. So that guy's now out in the market and it's doing fantastic. We could barely keep it in stock. A couple of months from now, we have the new bridge saw that's coming out for tile, and that's specifically designed to cut large format tile. So again, listening to the customer, understanding the trends, and then making sure that we're offering solutions that are innovative and helpful to the end user. So that operator wants to know that, hey, this is helping my job because of X, Y reason. So large format tile is becoming the trend. How can we help cut large format tile easier? So the rail saw was a perfect solution for that. We offer on that particular rail saw to include that innovation and help support those large format tiles. We actually have expansion wings that come in on the side of the saw that you can actually just add on really quickly, and they are actually included with the saw itself. So that's how we help you load up larger format tile up to 52 inches, cut it quickly to make sure your project's done seamlessly, and still making it waterless and almost no dust.
Wow. Yeah, mate. It's I was around when those saws were being thought of,
Yeah,
and they're both amazing machines, and I have no doubt that we'll see them in Australia at some point if they're not already here. I'm not close enough to that space anymore to know,
yeah,
but yeah, it's glad. I'm glad to hear they're doing well. Definitely the bridge saw, and it's a bit of a weapon.
yeah,
It's a bit very much again another game changer. So.
yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned earlier about your influencers and your ambassadors and the people that work very closely with IQ from a digital marketing media perspective. Beyond that, and because that was amazing how you're getting together and you're rewarding people and you're just building that camaraderie amongst
Hmm.
a group. When you're what are, I suppose the question is, what other methods would you be using to engage with contractors and get end user feedback? And no doubt that's helped shaped the future. But what other methods do you use apart from that social media stuff, just to really bring in as much intel as you can and data and shape the business for the future?
Yeah. So outside of the social media influencers, hands-on. It's all about being hands-on, getting our tools out wherever the customers are at. So we do, I want to say, I don't know, about 70 different trade shows a year, whether they're large trade shows
Wow.
like the Coverings of the World, Surfaces, the World of Concrete. So those are the big venues, and but then there's a lot of regional shows that either happen at a dealer level or at a kind of like a hotel ballroom stuff like that. So there's tons of those events that we're doing consistently. So our sister company Bartel, they're doing close to 220 events total year round. So somebody somewhere in the country, US or Canada, is basically, or Europe, is at an event almost every other day or definitely every weekend for sure. So we've got people out in full force between US, Canada, Europe, and even Dubai, Australia, at different venues and events all the time. And that's the thing with our tools is the online experience. It's you miss quite a bit, right? You miss the tangibility of the actual cutting the material, seeing the fact that, oh wow, I can actually physically, I could just roll the saw down the street or I could roll it down the hallway. Um, so all of those elements are tough to convey through video medium, but when you actually physically see it in person, you're just like, oh wow. And what's crazy is we saw well, at trade shows, for example, we'll be sitting there and we'll cut a piece of material for someone right in front of them, or we'll let them cut. And they'll ask, "Hey, where's the water? Where does the water go? Is this where you put the water?" And I'm like, "No, there's absolutely no water. There's nothing to do with water here. You just cut it with the diamond blade." And then they're like, "Okay, but where's the dust?" "Oh, the dust goes right here in the tray." So it's amazing to see people's reaction in person when they actually cut that for the very first time, because you're indoors. We're always all wearing all black. We're not covered in dust, and
Mm.
our carpets are usually black. There's no dust on the ground. Everything's getting sucked up into the vacuum, which is great. So it's the hands-on would be the short answer for you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think in the 5 or 6 years that I was involved with IQ Power Tools as the distributor, it amazed me that every time that you had a different touch point over that period of time, you would still get that wow factor. Every
Yeah,
time you would have a contractor that would come in and go, where's the water source?
yeah,
Where's the dust? And you could show them the dust, and they would just be blown away. Like
yeah.
but the company's been around for what, 15, 16 years now?
So yeah,
So,
something like that. About 15 years or so. Yeah. Well, yeah. Think
yeah,
about it. I mean, it would take us, a budget of a Ford, for example, to be able to educate the entire country that we exist. I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars that these guys spend
yeah,
every single year, right? I mean, we're spending fractions of that. So our core kind of key to success is innovation, obviously. And when your product is truly innovative, people are going to talk about it and they're going to let everybody know. Think of Tesla, for example. Tesla was notorious for not advertising at all, zero, for the first 10 years they were in business. Actually, I think the first 15. They recently, just this last year, actually started advertising. But they basically were leaning on their innovation, right? So everyone knew the vehicle, they knew the brand. And it's essentially the same thing with IQ. We're leading with innovation.
yeah. Awesome. Mate, last question for today, and before we wrap it up, but I'm curious to know about your market expansion. Obviously, I've been out of the power tool game for a little over a year now. Tell us a little bit more about your markets that you're currently servicing, and where do you see the most significant growths? Locally, globally. Where's the next? Where's it going to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently, U.S. obviously is our main hub. It's kind of our core. Then Canada is kind of a close second, since obviously sister countries. Europe has definitely seen the biggest expansion over the last 2 years. They've grown the most considerably. That's a newer market for us. And Europe, just there's so many different countries, right? You drive 45 minutes, you're in Italy. You drive another 45 minutes, you're in France. So it's an easier market in the sense to where it's closer together geologically. The tough part is that every country is very unique over there. So we're definitely seeing growth and expansion in Europe, 100%. Australia has actually also done really well for us. We've seen a lot of good growth there over the last 2 years. We've also entered into Dubai. That's a new market for us out there. Latin America, we're starting to kind of dip our toe in right now. Nothing full-fledged yet, but we're kind of looking at those markets and exploring there. But yeah, Europe's definitely the place that we've seen the most growth with, and it's still growing. It's still considerable because when you think
Mm,
about all the buildings in the history, right, of the construction over there, it's all stone, it's all brick, it's all that really super hard, dense material.
yeah. Yeah, the European market's really interesting. I was my first trip to Europe was in 2012,
Hmm.
and I did a top deck tour around, I think, I don't know, 15, 16 countries
Yep.
in like 6, 7 weeks. And the amount of stone that's in that part of the world is phenomenal. And I
Oh yeah.
know that they don't have enough, there's not enough stonemasons in the world to keep up with the amount of rectification work that they need to do over there just to maintain
Yeah.
buildings that are like thousands of years old.
Right. Right.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It's beautiful when you go there, when you see all the stonework, but then it just boggles your mind, like how long do these projects take? And when you go
Yeah.
like to places like the Netherlands and you see like the cobblestone streets and whatnot, and it's like, wow, it must have taken forever to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They clearly had a lot of time on their hands back
Yeah.
a couple of
Oh
hundred
yeah.
years ago, or even
Yeah. No,
thousands of years ago
there
compared
was
to
no
today.
TikTok, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No social media.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go and see someone, you had to travel for weeks.
Yeah.
So, no, fantastic. Hey, mate, looking ahead, just before we wrap up today, I mean,
Yeah.
we've already sort of touched on things a little bit with products. Are there any other exciting initiatives, journeys happening for IQ Power Tools in the next 12, 24 months?
Yeah, I'd say the next kind of 6 to 12 months, the things that we're excited about is some blade innovations. We've got a variety of new blades that are coming out, two specifically, one for tile just released. We've got another one for the hardscape side that's coming out here real soon. We're very excited about these two new blades. Blade innovation is something that we've not lacked on, or maybe just had less attention on specifically, since we already had a good offering of blades. But where we definitely saw some opportunities on the tile side was getting a cleaner cut, getting a sharper finish, cleaner cut on tile products. Because with cutting without water, that's the one area where it's a little tricky is on tile. And certain tiles tend to be not as dense and finicky, and they'll chip essentially if you're not cutting wet. So that's where we spent some more time really refining a specific blade. Call it the finishing touch blade, because those cuts are just super sharp, super clean. They're the sharpest cuts I've ever seen come from any saw, wet or dry. And they've been absolutely fantastic because it can still cut that really heavy duty porcelain that's tough to cut, and without water, without the mess, still. So
Mm.
that's a hugely innovative new blade that we've just came out with. And then on the hardscape masonry side, we have a blade here that we just kind of nicknamed it the Magic Blade in house, because it's in the Europe market, there is materials that are just so dense, because it's just the way they do their construction, the way they mix the materials, etc. So the stone over there is just there are parts of Europe where the stone is just absolutely so dense and heavy. It's very, very difficult to cut. So we've come up with this new magic blade that is doing a fantastic job. It's cutting that super dense material without any issue. It's doing a fantastic job at just performing and cutting fast. So we're really excited about these two new blades.
I'm gonna deep dive just on this really quickly, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure how much you can share with me because I lived blades the entire time. Well,
Yeah.
probably throughout my entire career, right?
Hmm.
What is it about these blades that makes them different from some of the existing blades that you've got in the range? Is it diamond configuration? Is it the style of the blade? Is it where it's made in the world? Like what sets it apart?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So, I mean, I'm definitely no blade expert in the terms of the how they physically are made and manufactured. But what I can tell you, like on the tile side, for example, the thickness of the blade is much thinner. So we've gotten the blade is about as thin as we can get it to still cut within with the diamond profile and built into the actual blade itself, and that's helped immensely. That we've seen in all of our testing. So the 10-inch blade that we have is about half the thickness, if not more, than our current thin blade. And so that's helped immensely, is just the overall thickness of the blade. The semi-continuous rim on that blade as well has made it it has also provided that really pristine and nice finished edge on the tile side. For the masonry side, it's again it's a whole kind of gamut of changes and of things that we have to test. And it's
Mm,
consistently we have our R&D team in house that are literally always cutting. We have guys that'll sit there and cut for hours on end. They'll time the cut, they'll test the cut, they'll try different materials, different densities of materials, and they'll cut with one diamond perforation pattern. They'll swap out for that blade, take another one, do a test, run an assessment, take notes. Okay, that specific material took us 30 seconds to cut. With this blade, it cut totally fine. However, with this new blade configuration, and this one has additional diamond segments, now that material only took us 20 seconds to cut. So that's more favorable for that specific type of material. So that's the type of research it takes to really dig in and figure out exactly how a blade is going to perform on the different
mm.
types of material. But the factor what we don't know, for example, on the US side in the States, is how dense is the material in Australia, in New Zealand, in South Africa, in Europe, in different parts of Europe, et cetera. So that's where we're constantly finding new materials to cut, new materials to test, and really figuring out what's the most efficient way to cut all these different materials.
Perfect, mate. Love it. It's makes sense to me, and I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
make sense to the community. But to have a blade that's much thinner, particularly for the IQ TS244 machine, the tile saw, I think that
yeah,
will
yeah,
that'll be a game changer again. So
yeah, absolutely.
we've yeah, that's awesome. Well, mate, look, today's been incredible. I've really enjoyed connecting back in with you again, and we always like to make sure that people within the community can connect in with IQ Power Tools and or yourself
Yeah.
directly if they choose they want to do that. Can you tell me what's the best way for people in our community to connect in with IQ and you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Instagram, 100%. We're on Instagram all the time, all day. Shoot us a DM on Instagram, you'll get a quick reply. We actually are old school. We still have phones. You can give us a call at the 800 number on our website. We will answer the
Nice.
phone, shockingly. Yeah. So we still get a lot of phone calls. A lot of old school guys just like talking on the phone. But Instagram definitely is the easiest way to get a hold of us and to figure out what we're doing. Because we're either going to be posting for an event, we'll be posting tips. We'll be posting about new product releases. So that's definitely the place to go if you want to find out anything. Or LinkedIn, if you want to be a little bit more business side, we do have some really helpful posts that we put up on LinkedIn from the business perspective of things. And we always try to kind of be mindful of, not to mix content, to have
Mm.
kind of exclusive silos for some of our content. Because yeah, Instagram is the fun place where you see the fun, flashy videos, but there's also some helpful tips. And then LinkedIn, we're going to give you a little bit more of the business kind of side of things and the reasons why you need, for example, that finishing touch blade. And then we'll also maybe talk a little bit more about the silicosis factors on LinkedIn versus like an Instagram where it's more fun.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, mate, you've been amazing. You've been incredible. It's been excellent to connect with you again. And as we say it on every show, mate, until next time, stay
Yeah.
connected.
No,
That's
absolutely.
super important. And
Oh,
thanks for
thanks for inviting me.
yeah, man. Thanks for sharing. Your journey, and I'm glad you're doing well. Mate, I'll have to organise a trip to come back to the States at some point in the near future.
Oh, anytime, man. Anytime. Just hit me up.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man.
Thanks, thanks, Bryant. Have
All right.
a have a wonderful day, brother.
Take care. Appreciate you.